Welcome to the explainer. Look, if you've ever dealt with bad credit, you know exactly how heavy that burden feels, right? It is incredibly stressful. It kind of feels like this dark cloud just hanging over your entire financial life. And because of that immense stress, the allure of magical internet loopholes, those quick fixes you see advertised late at night or when you're just scrolling through your feed, man, they are undeniably tempting. But today we're going to separate the facts from the fiction. We're going to break down exactly what works, what doesn't, and what the law actually says.
So let's jump right in. The absolutely biggest, most persistent question we see floating around online is simply this: can you magically erase bad credit? It's a burning question for literally millions of people, and the answer to it is going to set the stage for our entire myth-busting journey today. Here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll look at the overarching credit repair illusion. Second, we'll break down the 609 letter myth. Third, pay for delete, fact or fiction. Fourth, handling aggressive debt collectors. And finally, we'll walk through legitimate credit repair steps. All right, Section 1, the credit repair illusion, covering red flags and false promises. When consumers are desperate to improve their financial standing, they unfortunately become prime targets for predatory services offering these absolute miracle solutions. But federal laws, like the Credit Repair Organizations Act, they actually lay out the glaring warning signs of a scam pretty clearly. For instance, if a company requests upfront fees before they've actually done any work for you, yeah, that's a massive red flag. Or if they promise a guaranteed jump in your credit score, be highly suspicious, because literally no one can guarantee that. And if they claim to have some special secret relationship with the credit bureaus, totally false. Honestly, nobody has special secret powers to bypass the credit reporting system. Now, the absolutely crucial number you need to remember here is 7 to 10. That's the number of years that accurate negative information, stuff like a missed payment or a charged-off account, where the lender just gave up on collecting, legally stays on your credit report. It really doesn't matter what a scammer guarantees you or how much cash you hand over to them. If that negative mark is factual and accurate, it's staying on your report for 7 to 10 years. Moving on to Section 2, the 609 letter myth and what Section 609 actually does. Let's pivot to dismantle one of the absolute biggest internet trends circulating right now. I'm sure you've seen the videos or ads selling templates for the so-called 609 dispute letter. But before you pay for one of those templates, let's clearly define what the actual law says. Section 609 of the Fair Credit Reporting Act simply grants you, the consumer, the right to know what information is on your credit file and the names of individuals who have accessed it. That's it. It just grants a right to request information. It is absolutely not some magical loophole that forces credit bureaus to erase accurate, legitimate debts.
This brilliantly illustrates the massive disconnect between social media and the actual law. On one side, you have the internet promise, a hack that supposedly erases your debt instantly. On the other side, you've got the rigid legal reality. Section 609 merely requests file information. Accurate negative information still has to remain. So sending a 609 letter, it doesn't magically fix poor credit, no matter what that influencer told you.
To really wrap our heads around how credit reporting agencies operate, take a look at this quote from the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in the case of Carvalho versus Equifax. Basically, Ms. Carvalho disputed a $118 medical bill, and her argument was that her insurance should have paid it, not her. Makes sense, right? But the court ruled that a credit reporting agency is just obligated to report verified facts. They aren't judges, they aren't required to provide a legal opinion on the merits of your defense, or, resolve disputes between you and your insurance company. They just report the facts. All right, Section 3, pay for delete, fact or fiction, negotiating with debt collectors. Let's analyze a kind of sketchy negotiating practice you might have heard of. Pay for delete is a specific agreement where a debt collector promises to completely remove negative information from your credit report if you agree to pay them. And honestly, you can easily see why this sounds like the absolute perfect quick fix for a struggling consumer. I mean, you pay the balance, and your record gets wiped clean as if the whole shebang never happened. Sounds great, right? Well, here is where we pull back the curtain. The Fair Credit Reporting Act actually requires that credit histories be accurate. Because federal law mandates this accuracy, credit bureaus actively discourage removing accurate negative information. So this means pay for delete is a seriously risky legal gray area. Often, even if a debt collector agrees to it and they happily take your money, the credit bureaus might just turn around and reject the deletion entirely, simply because that negative mark is still a verified fact. The data shows exactly why folks turn to these risky tactics in the first place. I mean, look at this. In Massachusetts, 42% of people have personal loans averaging over $14,600. In Connecticut, it's over $13,500, and New York is right there as well. When you are navigating massive balances like these, the desperation to find a clean slate is completely understandable, even if the method itself is pretty flawed.
Section 4. Handling aggressive debt collectors and knowing your rights. Since those quick fixes don't actually work, we need to talk about dealing with the real antagonists of this story for a lot of people: aggressive debt collectors. It is incredibly empowering to know exactly what collectors cannot do under the law. Get this, it is strictly illegal for them to call you before 8 a.m. or after 9 p.m. They cannot use profane or abusive language with you. They absolutely cannot lie to you about how much you owe. And they cannot contact your employer to embarrass you. They can only contact them once and strictly to verify your employment. Knowing the difference between what they try to get away with and what is literally illegal, that puts the power right back in your hands.
And let's dismantle a very common fear tactic right now. Debt collectors cannot simply take your money out of the blue. They just can't. They can only garnish your wages, which means taking money from your paycheck or bank account, after they sue you in court and a judge enters a formal legal judgment against you. They can't just bypass the legal system.
Moving to our final part, Section 5, Legitimate Credit Repair Steps, DIY Solutions. Let's transition from what doesn't work and what's illegal to what actually does work. We're focusing now on totally legitimate do-it-yourself strategies. You can do literally everything a credit repair company charges you for, and you can do it completely for free. Step 1, get your official free reports from annualcreditreport.com. Step 2, carefully review those reports for actual factual errors. Step 3, dispute those real inaccuracies directly with the bureaus online or by mail. And step 4, the most important one, focus on paying your current bills on time. This is the real, legitimate roadmap to repair. Keep in mind there is a strict, legally mandated timeline that everyone has to follow when a real dispute is filed. Within 5 days of contacting you, a collector must send a validation notice. You then have 30 days to formally dispute the debt in writing. Once you do that, the credit bureau has 30 days to complete their investigation. It's a strict structure, but it's designed to keep the whole process fair for everyone involved. Now here's a really surprising and honestly empowering fact. If the investigation wraps up and you still disagree with the result, you have the legal right to add a 100-word statement directly to your credit report. That's right, you always have the ability to permanently put your side of the story on the record for future lenders to see. Which brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. Are you ready to stop searching for loopholes and start building lasting financial health? The real secret here is that there is no secret. By dropping the internet myths, understanding your rights, and taking legitimate, consistent action, you really can take control of your credit. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.
Interested in real estate selling, buying, or investing? Let's connect and get moving today.